Welcome to My The Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome to My The Asshole Podcast. Today is Thursday. You know what we got for you on the Thursday. We got a beautiful thread for you. We got a good thread for you, as well as King of Wrath. King of Wrath, we're almost done with King of Wrath, man. We are almost done. We're almost done with Lights Out as well. I know we did Lights Out on Sunday. My goodness, we're flying through these books, baby. I'm already going to have to look around and try to find another one for you lovely people. But if you do have a book recommendation, definitely put it down in the description. I'm at the point where I'm looking for the recommendations now at this point. You know what I mean? So definitely put them down in the description for your boy, or down in the comments for your boy. But without further ado, let's get right on into today's thread. Today's thread is, what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever been caught doing? All right, so let's see what craziness y'all got caught doing. Okay, so downloaded a fucked up porn. So I was about 15 and a bit of a computer nerd. The girl next door was a good friend of mine and easily a dime. I was head over heels for this girl for so long. She used to come over and hang out a lot, and usually we would listen to music and download songs off of Napster to burn onto CD mixes. Now, I had just gotten my first private computer the week prior. The first computer that I didn't have to share with the family. So, that whole week prior, I spent downloading porn on Napster. Oh, baby. And just abusing myself. All kinds of the most fucked up shit you could possibly search. So this girl comes over and I show her the new computer. She starts downloading a new CD while I go to grab us some sodas. What I find was that when you start typing in the search bar of Napster, it shows your last 10 to 20 searches. Bro is cooked. So I come back with the sodas and she's just staring at my downloads folder, mouth agape, just in fucking shock at the horrible file names and gigabytes of porn. 10 years later, we're happily married with 2 kids. Yo! What? No, just kidding. She dated hassles throughout my whole time knowing her. And I will die alone. Okay, alright. I was about to say, yo! How I Met Your Mother. Like, that's wild. But seriously, that was awful. I almost would have rather her caught me jerking off. Yo, that's crazy, man. Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's why you keep back in the day, you couldn't really watch porn on your phone like that, you know what I mean? Because I'd be like, yo, like my computer's like, computers right? No. They ain't gonna find a lick of corn on these computers. Nah, man. It's all on the telefono, my guy. You know what I mean? But back in the day, I didn't know too much about Napster, if I'm being honest with you. For me, it was all about like the fuck tapes and magazines. I would just google.com, you know what I mean? You would just Google image boobies, you know what I mean? I remember the first time I Google imaged vagina, I was like, yo, the holy grail. The holy grail has been found. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. And then, we had a printer, so I was just like, let me go ahead and print this out real quick. Boom, Control P. So, yeah, man. Oh, dude, that's gotta suck. That would be the most embarrassing shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, that would be embarrassing for me, too. I ain't gonna cap. All right, what is the most embarrassing thing that you've ever been caught doing? Changing a diaper, my diaper, in a public restroom. Oh, geez. I wear doo-doo consonants, and sometimes when out in public, I have to change. I was in a stall and the lock didn't work. I was trying to be quick and hope nobody would come in. It was bad enough somebody was using the urinal and could hear everything I was doing. Sure enough, another guy came busting in and saw the guy at the urinal, so he came to the stall and pushed the door open. I was standing there taping up a diaper and he saw. His eyes got huge, wide, and he was just as mortified as I was. He said, "Oh God, I'm sorry," and ran away. Oh, bruh, I know I would too, man. If I accidentally busted in and do changing diaper, I'd be like, "Oh, my bad." I would say nothing. Say nothing. Hey, and it seemed like that's what happened. Dude was pretty cool, and didn't like blow your spot up, because that would be crazy if homeboy was just like, "Hey, yo, this nigga wearing a diaper, son." Because that would be crazy. If he straight blew your spot up like that, was just, "Yo, man is wearing a diaper, son." Oh, good thing he didn't do that, though. All right, good thing he didn't. You know what I mean? He was respectful. All right, man. That's got to be tough, though. Hey, hopefully that doesn't happen to you ever again. All right, so what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever had happen to you? When I was 7, I was at my dad's friend's barbecue, and I was sitting on my dad's lap. I was still on his lap and reached to the floor to pick up my plate of food, and I let out the loudest fart ever, and every single person looked at me. It seemed like the music had stopped as well. Anyway, while everyone looked at me in shock, I pointed to my dad and said, "He told me to do it," and everyone started laughing, including my dad. I ran home across the road crying, never forgetting the pure embarrassment I felt that day. Hey, man, as long as you didn't rip one in church, bro, there is nothing more silent than a motherfucker ripping ass in a church. Bro, oh my goodness. I remember, and wasn't me crazy enough. Don't get me wrong, I farted in church before, I ain't gonna lie to you, but it's never to a point where like it was so loud it made, the whole room quiet. Okay, like, don't get me wrong, I ripped some ass in church. Okay, I ain't out here saying I haven't, but there's never been a time that I farted where it made the entire church. But I remember one time, all right, I was a kid, and I didn't want to go to the little fucking class. Sometimes they have the little classes for the kids, and, you like color and you draw fucking Jesus purple and shit, and, doing what kids do. I didn't want to go to the class, and so my parents took me into the big room with all the adults, and they're doing the sermons and shit. This dude, all right, he gets up, and he's sitting close to the front. He's not like all the way in the front, but he's maybe like 3 rows back from the front. And he gets up and he is like running. I mean, running. He was kind of a hefty dude. He wasn't all that fat, but he was a hefty dude. He was running up the middle, and all you hear is just, and we're like, everybody goes quiet. It is quiet up in that bitch. And you're like, and he's like, "Oh, I think I done shit myself." And everybody is like, "Oh shit." Like some people are laughing, some people are like, "Oh man," because it was like this loud fart, silence, and then all you hear is bro like, "Oh, I think I shit myself." Yo, it was crazy, man. We were just like, that's wild. And then, he left, and we didn't see him after that. We didn't see him back at the church after that. Man's wherever he is, it's all good, bro. It's all good. Like, we would have welcomed you back in open arms, my guy, Oh, man. Yeah, that was probably the craziest situation I've ever had happen at church. I was like, yo, I'm glad I didn't go to the kids' class today, because that mess was funny. Oh, man, I'm telling you. Okay, what is the most embarrassing thing you have ever done or you ever got caught doing? I zoned out listening to a friend tell a story once and actually started drooling. Yo, what the fuck? My man's brain, he just turned his brain off and was just like, bro, I have never had somebody tune out that hard. Man, that's crazy. I've never heard of somebody tuning out that hard to the point where they're just drooling. They're like, oh shit. Oh, what were you saying? Oh, damn. Like, bro. Oh, that would suck. That would suck. Dude, if somebody tuned out that hard to me talking, I would just stop talking. I'd be like, yo, oh, wow. Damn, am I that boring? Shit. Oh, my God. That's some wild shit. All right, what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever gotten caught doing? Taking a vicious diarrhea in the woods while I was skipping school. I was 11 at the time and my stomach was gurgling on the 2-mile walk home from school. I cut through a wooded path when the brown beast came a-calling. I was releasing the Kraken when a father and his young child rounded the corner with my pants around my ankles. Blowing a hole into the ground. I looked up at them. We locked eyes and I pulled my pants up. I was still shitting bricks. Yo, and hauled ass. Kept that one to myself. Yo, bro. Imagine how you're walking home and you got a doo-doo so bad. You're just like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to just, park up on this tree real quick and just let it go. Let it rip. And this dad with his son just bust the corner like, what are you doing, young man? What are you doing? I'd be like, bro, do you not see the pile of shit under me, man? I ain't gonna lie to you. I would have stared at him just finishing my dookie. I ain't gonna lie to you. I would have stared right at him just finishing my doo-doo. There ain't no way I'm pulling my pants up and then I'm just doo-dooing in my pants all the way home. Nah, boy. Nah, I'm finishing my doo-doo. I'd be like, yeah, this is happening. I am shitting in the woods. Like, bruh, nah, man. Nah, there ain't no way. There ain't no way I'm pulling my pants up with that. Nah, you gonna watch this, dookie. All right, what is the most embarrassing thing that you've ever got caught doing? I was in middle school. I borrowed my parents' laptop for homework and to watch some corn. Ooh. I didn't know you could jerk off at that age, so I just watched porn for the sake of watching it and seeing women naked. I still remember the porn I watched that day. It was a hot brunette wearing a matching red bra and underwear, which she eventually took off, being pounded by the man while they were on a mattress on the floor. Well, once I was done with the laptop that day, my dad took it back to their room, and just a minute later, I hear full max volume the woman from the porno I watched moaning while taking it up her butt. Of course, it could have been any other porn, but I was pretty damn sure my dad found out what I was doing. So I immediately went to their room and saw that was exactly the case. Why would you go to the room, bro? That's like robbing a bank and then going to the bank and being like, oh no, the bank got robbed. Who could have ever have done this? Like, bro, what are you doing, man? You were asking to get caught. I would have stayed in my room like, what? No, I wasn't on the computer. I don't know what you talking about. Like, come on, man. I looked at my dad and immediately started crying. I wasn't allowed to use the laptop for a while after that. And my dad kept teasing me about it for a week. We didn't talk about it anymore, though. That day taught me a valuable lesson. Always delete your browser history. Or don't go to the scene of the crime, my guy. What are you doing? I would have stayed in my room, and then Dad would have been like, whoa, what were you doing on my computer? I'm like, God, on the computer? I wasn't doing anything on the computer. I haven't been on the computer in a minute. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. You know what I mean? I was deleting the virus. Oh, that reminds me of that little kid. Like, I was deleting the virus, and then I stood up and my pants fell down. Oh my god, that video is hilarious. Oh Jesus. All right. What is the most embarrassing thing you've ever gotten caught doing? I playfully diddled my girlfriend on the couch without realizing her mom was watching with disgust. Yo. Moms was watching? It makes me think that the mom was low key like, yo, I want some of that diddling. You know what I mean? Like, bro, if she's just watching, oh man, that's crazy. What if though? What if she was just like, hey, yo, Josh, like, saw what you and my daughter were doing on the couch. I'm not mad, but like, can I get some of that? That would be crazy, son. That would be the most embarrassing story turned into the most best story in the entire world ever. Cause, you know what I mean? Especially if the mom was, you know, kind of little, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy though. That's a little wild that she was watching. All right, what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever got caught doing? Note, I'm doing various mixed martial arts since I am 6 years old, so I'm quite flexible, and I'm a male. Okay. In my second semester, I was at a house party and drunk AF. I talked about something course related to a friend, and suddenly I saw some girls trying to do front splits. I think a few guys were attracted. I think a few guys were attracted, but due to the amount of alcohol I've consumed so far, I didn't care. I went straight to my flexible friends and said something like, come on, that isn't hard to do, and went down to a full front split in front of 50 people, and right in that moment, I heard my jeans rip apart. So I sat there in a front split with my underwear exposed, looking like the biggest moron ever. The complete crowd cracked up. A girl literally peed her pants because she was laughing so hard. Dang, bro. Damn, that sucks. But you gotta understand. Well, maybe the alcohol was an influence, but you gotta understand, man. Men ain't meant to be doing all that. You know, like our clothes ain't designed for all that. Like, what are you doing, man? I ain't gonna lie to you though. I remember one time I was wearing shorts at work, and I was squatting down to pick something up, and the moment I squat down to pick it up, my shorts were like scrap, and I was like, oh yeah, it was all bad. It was not one of those like, oh yeah, you know, we're good, I can hide it. Nope. No. Let's just say the Jack Johnson was all out, fam. You know what I mean? Let's just say the Jack Johnson was all out. It was all bad. I was like, oh yes, I needs to go home. I got a bit of a malfunction situation going on. Luckily, it was the end of the day, so it wasn't too bad. I was kind of on overtime at that point, so I was just like, yeah, you know, I got to go home. And they were like, yeah, you got to go home. I'm like, all right, cool. I signed myself out, went home. Yeah, that was all bad. Nobody said anything, which was crazy because I was just like, I know y'all saw, you know what I mean? But it was cool, I guess. Nobody said nothing. We were chilling. But at the same time, I was like, y'all motherfuckers were thinking something, I'm sure. Because like I said, it ripped like right in the middle. I was like, oh no, Jack Johnson all out, man. Like, bruh, this is all bad. Yeah, dude. That's how I know men's clothes ain't meant to be like moving like that. You know what I mean? Because yeah, I've had it happen to me before. It's bad. Bad, man. Okay. What is the most embarrassing thing you've ever got caught doing? Stealing cigarettes. I was 14 and hopelessly addicted to smoking. It was easier in a lot of cases to shoplift packs than to find an adult ignorant enough to buy cigarettes for a 14-year-old. A dude in the store caught me and picked me up by my shirt. He chewed me out in front of the whole store and threw me out. It was humiliating as hell. I've never considered stealing anything since, and years later I quit smoking. Sometimes I wish I could thank that man. Hey, facts. Facts, bro. Man, he fucking saved your life, my guy. Because, dude, you could have been one of those motherfuckers with a tracheotomy over here talking like, oh, yeah, how's it going, guys? Make sure you do not smoke cigarettes, because then you'll be like me. Like, bro, that shit's trash. Yeah, man. Nah. Oh, hey, it's a good thing you got caught. I don't think that was embarrassing. I think that was needed. Man, because have you guys ever seen a person like in real life with a tracheotomy? Oh my God, that shit looks scary. It looks scary, bro. They literally have a hole right here in their throat. Oh, it's so bad. Some people, you know, their hole is big enough and they can kind of just cover it when they're talking. But some people have to get like an actual like special device and put it on the hole. And what the device does is they pretty much talk out of the device because they're talking out of their hole. Their voice does not come out of their mouth. And yeah, bro, that I remember I saw a lady one time, right? I don't remember where I was. I don't remember the details too much, but I just remember seeing this lady, right? And she had that shit. Freaked me the fuck out. I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, why do you got a hole in your throat, you know? And then I remember my mom was just like, oh, yeah, you know, that's what happens when you smoke cigarettes. And that's what happens when you smoke a lot, you know, because, yeah, that shit, I don't know why a tracheotomy happens. I'm sure, you know, it burns up your shit in here and then you got to have that shit open. I don't know. But you guys can educate me in the comments. But, yeah, man. I remember first time seeing that shit, I was freaked out. I was like, oh, God, do you get freaky with that thing or like what? You know what I mean? Man, that's some crazy shit. All right, we're going to do two more and win the thread. What is the most embarrassing thing you ever got caught doing? All right. When I was in high school, my biology teacher lived in the same apartment complex as me. One evening, I was giving my boyfriend a handy on the back porch when my teacher walked past with his dog. I quickly threw a jacket on my boyfriend's lap. All he said was, "You kids look cozy." Oh, shit. As he passed, I'm still not sure how much he saw. Oh, he saw everything. He saw it all. He saw you jerking the Jack Johnson all. Man, he saw it all. He was just like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew you were a slut, Cindy. I fucking knew it. Fucking knew it. Yeah, girl. Yeah, you jerked that man off. You know, that's why he said something. Because if he didn't notice, he wouldn't have said anything. Let's be honest. He wouldn't have said anything. He would have just walked by and it would have been what it was. But no. No, he saw you jerking the Jack Johnson and was just like, I knew it. I knew it from the moment I saw you walk into my class, girl. I knew you were a handy J kind of girl. God dang it. All right. What is the most embarrassing thing that you've ever got done caught? And this will be our last one. My friend / former roommate once walked in on me pulling my pants up after just putting on a diaper. I'm sure he saw it for a brief second because he looked at me, paused for a fraction of a second, and continued to talk to me about the thing he came into my room for. I figured he's seen / heard me do enough stuff that it didn't faze him too much. He's a good friend. That is facts that he is a good friend that he didn't say anything about it. Because, yeah. I mean, at the same time, I get how that can be embarrassing. I get that. But I think at that moment, you know, he kind of knew and was like, you know, that's just Jerry. You know what I mean? He's doing his thing. So, that makes it a little less embarrassing. That is a good friend, though. Just like the dude, the other guy who wore the diaper, where he pushed open the stall and, he didn't blow your spot up. He was just like, oh, shit, my bad. Instead, he could have been like, oh, yo, he's wearing a diaper. You know what I mean? He could have done that shit, but he didn't. Same thing with your friend. Your friend could be out here, blowing up your spot like, yeah, Jerry wears a diaper, dog. You know what I mean? Dude be literally doo-dooing in his pants while you talking to him, Like, it's crazy shit. So, he could be doing that shit, but he doesn't. So that's a W friend, man. But that's going to be the end of that thread. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that thread. If you guys have ever done something embarrassing or you have an embarrassing story like I've shared, definitely put it down in the comments. I'd love to have you guys get involved, and I'd love to hear you guys' experiences, All right, so we're going to opt through announcements before we get into our book. So patreon.com/Am I the Asshole Podcast. Get an exclusive episode every single Friday, as well as being able to send in your scenario to be featured on the Tuesday and Sunday show. Audio listeners, thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys are awesome, coming out every week, downloading the episodes, as well as checking your boy out, all that good stuff. Appreciate you so much. If you want to help out even more, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube. All of that helps tremendously, and I appreciate for all the support. Without further ado, let's get into the book. All right, I'll move you guys over right now.
Figuring things out with Vivian will be hard, but you've always been a fighter. So fucking fight.
Chapter 36. Vivian. The Wednesday after I moved out of Dante's house, I chartered a flight to Boston. According to my mom, whom I'd called under the guise of discussing wedding arrangements, my father was already back home. I'd spent the plane ride rehearsing what I would say. But as I sat across from him in his office, listening to the clock tick and the shallow cadence of my breaths, I realized no amount of rehearsal could have prepared me for confronting my father. Silence stretched between us for another minute before he leaned back and raised a bushy, gray-tipped brow.
What's the emergency, Vivian? I assume you have something important you'd like to discuss if you showed up unannounced like this.
He was the one who had something to apologize for, but his stern voice sent a knee-jerk spiral of shame through me. It was the same voice he'd used whenever I received anything less than a perfect test score. I tried not to let it affect me, but it was hard to overcome decades of conditioning. Yes, I do. I lifted my chin and straightened my shoulders, trying to summon the fire from 2 days ago. All I managed were a few puffs of smoke. It was much easier to rant at my father in my head than in real life. Part of the reason was how exhausted he looked. Heavy bags hung beneath his eyes while lines of worry formed deep crags and crevices across his face. News articles had started popping up about trouble at Lau Jewels. Nothing major yet, just a few whispers here and there, but they were a sign of the storm to come. The office buzzed with nervous energy, and stock values had dipped. An unreasonable pang of guilt pierced my gut. My father was responsible for this mess. I shouldn't feel guilty for calling him out on it, no matter how tired or stressed he was.
Well?
He said impatiently.
I already pushed back a meeting for this. I'm not going to postpone it again. If you don't have anything to say now, we'll discuss it over
Did you blackmail Dante into marrying me? I blurted out the question before I lost my nerve. My heart slammed against my ribcage as my father's expression hardened into an unreadable mold. The clock continued its deafening march toward the half hour. I overheard you. In Dante's office. I clutched the purse in my lap for support. I wasn't wearing tweed or neutrals today. Instead, I'd opted for a custom-tailored silk sheath and an extra coat of red lipstick for confidence. I should have put on 2 extra coats.
If you overheard, then why waste my time by asking?
My father's tone was as indecipherable as his face. An ember of anger sparked to life. Because I want you to confirm it. Blackmail is illegal, Father, not to mention morally wrong. How could you do that? I forced air past my tight chest. Am I so undesirable you had to force someone into marrying me?
Don't be dramatic.
He snapped.
It wasn't anyone. It was Dante Russo. Do you know the doors marrying a Russo would open? Even with our wealth and your sister's marriage, some people look down on us. They'll invite us to their parties, and they'll take our money for fundraisers, but they whisper behind our backs, Vivian. They think we're not good enough. Marriage to Dante would have shut those whispers down immediately.
You blackmailed someone because of a few whispers? I asked disbelievingly. My father had always been conscious of his appearance and reputation. Even before we were rich, he'd stretch our budget and insist on paying for the table during get-togethers with his friends so he didn't lose face. But I never could have guessed his need for social validation ran this deep.
The opportunity arose and I took it.
He said coolly.
His brother was foolish and reckless. What were the chances I'd catch him with Gabrielle Romano's niece during a visit to New York?
An unrepentant shrug.
Fate put him in my path, and I took advantage of it for our family. I won't apologize for that.
You could have chosen anyone else. It was hard to hear over the buzz in my ears, but I pushed forward. Someone who would have willingly agreed to an arranged marriage.
Someone who would have willingly agreed wouldn't have been good enough.
Do you hear yourself? The embers fanned into flames. My fury came roaring back, so hot and bright it blurred my father's face. These are people's lives, not toys you can bend and manipulate. What if the photos leaked and Dante's brother got killed? What if you got killed for holding on to the evidence? How could you be so cruel, callous, morally corrupt? Short-sighted. It's not—
Don't raise your voice at me!
My father slammed his hands on the desk so hard the items on it rattled.
I am your father! You do not speak to me this way!
My heart threatened to explode from my chest. The father I knew would have never done this. The silence was so acute you could hear a moth flap its wings. My father straightened and leaned back again. His gaze bore into me.
You only have the luxury of caring about morals because of me. I do what I have to do to make sure our family is protected and the best it can be. You and your sister grew up sheltered, Vivian. You have no idea what it took for me to get to where I am today because I shielded you from the ugly truth. The number of people who laughed in my face and stabbed me in the back. It would make you sick. You think the world is rose-colored when it's gray at best.
Protecting our family doesn't mean destroying someone else's. We don't stoop that low, Father. It's not who we are. The briefest shadow of remorse passed through his eyes before disappearing.
I'm the head of the family,
he said, his tone final.
We are who I say we are.
The words touched my skin, cold and unfeeling. A shiver skated down my spine. And my relationship with Dante? The clasp of my purse dug into my palm. Did you not think how your actions would affect me? There's a difference between an arranged marriage and a forced one. I would have had to spend my life with someone who resented me simply because you want his name in our family tree.
Don't act like a martyr,
my father said.
It's unbecoming. Your sister never complained about being married to Gunnar, and she had to move to another country.
She doesn't complain because they actually love each other. He continued like I hadn't spoken.
There are worse things than being a billionaire's wife. You're young and charming. You would have worn Dante down eventually. In fact, he already seemed quite smitten with you over the holidays.
Well, you're wrong, I said flatly. It's over, Father. I moved out of Dante's house. We're not getting married. And I glanced out the window onto the main office floor. The company isn't doing well. Because you provoked someone you shouldn't have. The words sat unspoken between us. My father's jaw tightened. He hated being reminded things were less than perfect under his watch.
The company will be fine. We're merely experiencing a hiccup.
It sounds like more than a hiccup. He stared at me, his ire melting into something more calculating.
Perhaps you're right.
He said.
It might be more than a hiccup, in which case we could use Dante's help. He's upset now, but he has a soft spot for you. Convince him to assist.
Cold sank into my bones. I told you, we broke up. He hates us. He doesn't have a soft spot for me or anyone else in the family.
That's not true. I saw the way he looked at you when your mother and I visited. Even if you broke up, I'm sure you could make him see reason if you tried hard enough.
The cold spread to the pit of my stomach. I stared at my father, taking in his perfectly gelled hair, expensive suit, and flashy watch. It was like facing an actor pretending to be Francis Lau instead of the man himself. How had he morphed from the slightly corny but well-meaning parent of my childhood into the person before me? Cold, devious, obsessed with money and status and determined to gain and keep both at any cost. He looked the same, but I barely recognized him. I won't. My voice wavered, but my words were firm. This is your mess, Father. I can't help you. I hated how my mother and sister would be affected should Lao Jules capsize, but I couldn't play pawn in possession for my father anymore. Plus, they each had their own nest eggs. They would be fine, financially speaking. I'd turned the other cheek for too long. Been too willing to go along with whatever my parents told me to do because it was easier than rocking the boat and disappointing them. For all his faults, I loved my father and my family. I didn't want to hurt them. But I didn't realize until now that not speaking up when they crossed the line would hurt us more in the long run than anything else. Disbelief filled the grooves of my father's face.
You're choosing your ex-fiancé over your family. Is this how we raised you?
He demanded.
To be so disrespectful and disobedient?
He spat the word out like a curse. Disobedient? Indignation blew through me like a sudden gale, sweeping aside any remnants of guilt. I've done everything you've asked of me. I went to the right college, broke up with Heath, and played the role of perfect society daughter. I even agreed to marry a man I barely knew because it would make you happy. But I'm done living my life for you. Emotion thickened my voice. It's my life, Father, not yours. And the same way you can't make decisions for me any longer, I can't make excuses for you. Not anymore. This time the silence was so heavy it pressed down on me like a lead blanket.
Of course, you are free to make your own decisions.
My father finally said, his voice terrifyingly calm.
But I want you to know this, Vivian. If you walk out of this office today without making amends for your insolence, you are no longer my daughter, or a Lau.
His ultimatum barreled into me with the force of a runaway train, skewering my chest with a bayonet and filling my ears with the roar of blood. The temperature dropped into sub-zero territory as we stared at each other, his cold fury waging silent battle with my pained determination. There it was. The invisible monster I'd feared since childhood, laid out like a gruesome corpse of the relationship we used to have. I could cover it with a blanket and look away, or I could stand my ground and face it head-on. I rose, my blood electric with fear and adrenaline as my father's composure slipped the tiniest fraction. He'd expected me to back down. "I'm sorry." The apology almost fell off my tongue through force of habit. Before I remembered, I didn't have anything to apologize for. I wanted to stay a minute longer, to memorize his face and mourn something that had died a long time ago. Instead, I turned and walked out. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. My father had disowned me. My father had disowned me, and I hadn't tried to stop him because the price was too high. Tears crowded my throat, but I forced them back even as a crushing sense of loneliness invaded me. In the space of a week, I'd lost my family and I'd lost Dante. The only thing I had left was myself. And for now, that would have to be enough. Chapter 37. Vivian. The Legacy Ball's proximity to the chaos upending my life turned out to be a blessing in disguise. In the 2 days between my confrontation with my father and the gala, I threw myself into work with such fervor even Sloane, the consummate workaholic, expressed alarm. 5 a.m. wake-up calls, dinner at the office, lunch spent reviewing every detail and ensuring I had contingency plan upon contingency plan for everything from a citywide blackout to a brawl between guests. By the time the actual ball rolled around, I was delirious from lack of sleep. I didn't mind. Busy was good. Busy meant less time agonizing over the shambles of my personal life. However, despite all my planning, there was one thing I hadn't prepared for. The effect walking into Valhalla Club would have on me. Tightness crawled into my chest as I smiled and made small talk with the guests. Tonight, I was the hostess, which meant no running around checking on the food or music. That was my team's job. My job was to mingle, look good, pose for photographs, and not spend every second subconsciously searching for Dante. I'd only visited Valhalla twice, both times with him. I hadn't seen him yet. He might not show at all. But his presence, dark, magnetic, and omnipresent, permeated the room. His laughter in the corners, his scent in the air, his touch on my skin. Hot kisses and stolen moments and memories so vivid they were painted all over the walls. Dante was Valhalla, at least to me. And being here tonight, without him, was like a ship leaving port without an anchor. "Vivian!" Buffy's voice pulled me from the edge of a breakdown I couldn't afford. I'd cried more this past week than I'd cried my entire life, and frankly, I was sick of it. "What a stunning dress!" She came up beside me, elegant as always in a green brocade gown that paid tasteful homage to the ball's secret garden theme. Magnificent diamonds draped across her neck and dripped from her wrists. I blinked back a suspicious prickle and pasted on a smile. "Thank you. Your outfit is lovely as well." Buffy swept a discerning gaze over my dress. The Yves Dubois piece had turned many heads tonight, and for good reason. It cascaded to the ground in an exquisite sweep of red silk and gold-dipped feathers. So tightly packed they looked like a pile of fallen gilded leaves. Shimmering gold thread formed an intricate phoenix pattern across the silk, so subtle it was almost invisible, unless the embroidery hit the light at a certain angle. It was clothing, art, and armor all rolled into one. A statement piece bold enough to declare power, but so dazzling few people looked past it to the sadness underneath. "Yves Dubois couture," Buffy said. "Dante is a generous fiancé." Her gaze coasted to my empty ring finger. Tingles of unease crystallized beneath my skin. Dante and I hadn't announced our breakup yet, but my lack of an engagement ring had drawn every person's notice tonight. Whispers were already circulating, not only about our relationship status, but about Lau Jules' stock market free fall. The negative press coverage had exploded in the past 48 hours. Although everyone had been perfectly nice to me so far, I was still the hostess, regardless of my family troubles. Their murmurs hadn't gone unnoticed. "I bought the gown myself," I said in response to Buffy's observation. I smiled at her flicker of surprise. "I am a Lau, even if my father disowned me. I can afford my own clothes. I wasn't a billionaire, but between my trust fund, investments, and event planning income, I held my own money wise." Buffy recovered quickly. "Of course," she said. "How modern of you. Speaking of Dante, will he be joining us tonight? It's your big night. I'm surprised he isn't here already." My smile tightened. She was too refined to ask outright about the ring, but she was clearly fishing. "He had an emergency at work." I hoped she couldn't hear the thumps of my heart over the music piping through the speakers. "He'll make it if he wraps up the call in time." "I certainly hope so. It wouldn't be a proper legacy ball without a Russo in attendance, would it?" I forced a laugh alongside hers. Thankfully, Buffy soon excused herself, and I was free to breathe again. I circulated the room, more aware than ever of the guests' subtle digs and glances at my hand. I ignored them the best I could. I'd worry about the gossip mill tomorrow. Tonight was my big night, and I refused to let anyone ruin it. Dante's conspicuous absence aside, the ballroom was packed with a who's who of Manhattan high society. Dominic and Adriana Davenport held court with a group of Wall Street titans. A crop of the season's it girls flirted with floppy-haired trust fund scions near the bar. The room itself was a masterpiece. 36 trees imported from Europe ringed the space, twined with ethereal strings of light that glittered like jewels against a leafy backdrop. $70,000 worth of hanging flowers and shrubbery adorned the tables, where vintage key tags, hand-calligraphied with each guest's name, delineated their seating assignment. Everything was perfect. The 4-tier cake with textural buttercream, floral garnishes, and edible 24-karat gold leaf keyhole. The pink and white strawberry and rose towers. The mossy wooden arches and oversized Edison bulbs adorning the bar. And yet, the stares and whispers continued. I eased a deep breath into my lungs. It's fine. No one is going to make a scene in the middle of the legacy ball. I whisked a glass of champagne off a tray in an attempt to drown the self-consciousness pricking my skin.
The hostess drinking by herself on her big night. That won't do.
I smiled at the familiar voice before turning. I needed a break from... I gestured around the room. You know.
Oh, I do.
Kai said dryly, handsome as always in a bespoke tuxedo and his signature glasses.
May I have this dance?
He held out his hand. I took it and let him guide me to the dance floor. Dozens of pairs of eyes honed in on us like laser-guided missiles seeking their targets.
Is it just me?
He said.
Or do you also feel like you're in a giant fishbowl?
A nice, expensive one, I agreed. Amusement touched his lips before it melted into concern.
How are you doing, Vivian?
I assumed he was talking about my breakup with Dante. They were friends, but how much did he know about what happened? I chose a safe, neutral answer. I've been better.
I haven't seen Dante in the ring this week. It's unlike him. He usually goes straight for violence when he's upset.
The joke failed to pull a smile from me. I was too hung up on the mention of Dante. Maybe he's not upset. We hadn't spoken to each other since I moved out. I should be upset with him. Most of the blame lay with my father, but Dante wasn't completely innocent either. Still, it was hard to summon anything except sadness when I thought about him. There'd been a time when I really thought.
Maybe.
Kai glanced over my shoulder. His gaze turned speculative.
You know, I didn't want to say anything while you were engaged, but you're one of the most beautiful women I know.
I blinked, startled by the sudden shift in tone and topic. Thank you.
This might be too soon, but since you're no longer with Dante...
Kai's hand slid down my back and rested above the curve of my ass. Low enough to be suggestive, but high enough to skirt the line of inappropriate. I stiffened.
Perhaps we can go out sometime.
Shock and alarm bubbled in my chest. Was he drunk? He didn't sound like the Kai I knew at all. I let out an uncomfortable laugh and tried to twist out of his hold, but it was hard in my dress. You're right. It is too soon. And while I really like you as a friend, I emphasized the last word, I'm not sure I want to date right now. He wasn't listening. He was too busy looking over my head with a wicked smile.
Here he comes,
he murmured. Before I could ask who he was talking about, a warm, familiar hand landed on my shoulder.
Take your hands off my fiancé.
Dark and turbulent, the order was packed with so much tightly leashed danger it was a spark away from combustion.
Apologies.
Kai released me, his expression strangely self-satisfied.
I didn't realize. I don't give a fuck what you did or didn't realize.
The lethally quiet statement poured ice down my spine.
Touch Vivian again and I'll kill you.
Simple, brutal, honest. Kai's eyes flickered along with a ghost of a smile.
Noted.
He inclined his head at us.
Enjoy.
I watched him walk away, too stunned to speak. It was only when Dante whirled me around and clasped my hand in his that I found my voice. What are you doing here? My feet followed his lead out of instinct, but the rest of my body tingled with alarm. His presence was too powerful, his scent too all-consuming. It crowded my lungs, filling them with clean earthiness and rich spices. When I was around him, it was easy to lose myself, no matter how upset or heartbroken I was. My ability to breathe ceased when his eyes connected with mine. Dark hair, sculpted cheekbones, firm, sensual lips. It had been less than a week since we last saw each other, yet he was somehow more beautiful than I remembered.
I was invited. By you, I believe.
The cold brutality vanished, replaced with warm amusement. It was like Kai's departure had flipped a switch. I thought I detected a hint of nerves as well, but I must have heard wrong. Dante was never nervous. You know what I mean. What are you doing here, dancing with me? His palm practically burned mine. I desperately wanted to pull away, but I couldn't with everyone watching. It seemed like every set of eyes was trained on us.
Because you're my fiancé and this is your big night. You've worked months on the legacy ball, Vivian. Did you think I was going to miss it?
The words were needles to my heart, injecting it with a rush of electricity and adrenaline before I forced it to calm. If the past week had taught me anything, it was that every high came with a devastating crash. I'm not your fiancé anymore. Dante fell silent. At first glance, he looked every inch the enigmatic CEO out on a night on the town. His custom-made tuxedo molded to his body, emphasizing broad shoulders and sleek, powerful muscles. The soft lights threw his bold features into sharp relief, and his chin held its usual proud, arrogant tilt. But a closer look revealed the faint purple smudges beneath his eyes. Lines of tension bracketed his mouth, and his grip was tight, almost desperate when he replied.
We had a fight.
He said, his voice low.
We didn't officially break up.
Disbelief roused from its slumber, joining its cousins, shock and frustration. Yes, we did. I gave you back my ring. You took it. I moved out. Sort of. I needed to get the rest of my belongings once I had a chance to breathe. In my world, that means we broke up. And that's not even touching all the complications between you and my father. The difference between this Dante and the one who'd watched me walk away 4 days ago was so stark, I was convinced an alien imposter had hijacked his body.
Yes, well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
A swallow worked its way down his throat. All remnants of his playful mask disappeared, revealing nerves I never thought he possessed.
I fucked up, Vivian. I said a lot of things I shouldn't have, and I'm trying to make it right.
The words vibrated through the air and somehow reached my chest before they did my ears. By the time my brain processed them, my heart was already twisted and in shambles. He couldn't do this. Not now. Not here. When I'd just started functioning properly after the havoc earlier this week. It doesn't matter. I willed the words past my tongue. Like you said, it was just business. Anguish darkened the edges of Dante's eyes.
Miyakata.
My throat constricted. The rest of the ball fell away, disintegrating like crumpled pieces of paper thrown into the fire of Dante's presence. Miyakara. He was the only person who could utter that phrase so softly and achingly, like it was a beautiful substitute for another set of words we were too afraid to say. I blinked away the emotion in my eyes. I left 4 days ago, Dante. You were happy to let me walk away then. Do you expect me to believe you did a 180 in such a short period of time?
No. I don't expect you to believe anything I say, but I hope you do.
He said quietly.
I'm sorry you found out the truth the way you did. I should have told you earlier, but the truth is...
His throat flexed with another hard swallow.
I wasn't ready to let you go. I pulled back after Paris and told myself I was easing you into the truth when in reality I wanted the best of both worlds. To keep you and to fool myself into thinking I wouldn't. I hated your father, Vivian. I still do. And I hated the idea of him winning in any way, including...
Dante's grip tightened around mine.
Including if I stayed with you the way I wanted. It wasn't my finest reasoning or proudest moment, but it's the truth. Yes, I was forced into the engagement. But everything that happened afterward, our dates, our talks, our trip to Paris, no one forced me to do those things. They were real. And I was stupid enough to think I could get over them, or you, when...
His voice dropped, turning raw.
You've been gone less than a week, and I already feel like I've spent an eternity in hell.
The breath fled my lungs. Oxygen solidified into something sweet and honeyed that dripped into my stomach, filling it with warmth. A choked sob entered the mix before I swallowed it. There was no one near us. Everyone gave Dante a wide berth, and the majority of guests had returned to their conversations instead of staring at us. Still, I couldn't afford any break in composure. One crack was all it would take for me to shatter completely. But nothing's changed, I said, my voice thick. You still hate my father, and he still wins if we marry. I didn't mention the disowning or company troubles yet. Those were whole other cans of worms.
You're wrong,
Dante said.
Something has changed. I thought I could live without you. That my vengeance meant more than my feelings for you. It took only a few days, hell, a few hours, to realize I can't, and it doesn't. I didn't want to distract you while you were preparing for the ball, which is why I haven't reached out earlier, but...
His throat worked with another swallow.
I love you, Vivian, more than I could ever hate your father, and more than I ever thought I was capable of.
My heart soared. My stomach plunged into a wild free fall. The contradiction defied the laws of physics, but nothing about our relationship had ever adhered to rules.
I love you, Vivian.
The words echoed in my head and spilled into my chest, where they met their counterparts for the first time. I love you too, even after what you did. Even if I shouldn't. I love you more than I could ever hate you. The only difference was, I couldn't bring myself to voice them yet.
You and me.
Dante said. His eyes held mine.
For real this time. We can make it work, that is, if you want to.
If you can forgive me. The real meaning brimmed between us. Could we really move past what happened this easily and quickly? He seemed sincere, but...
I never willingly chose her. I did what I had to do. This is just business.
I plummeted back to earth. I loved Dante. I'd known since Paris, and there was no point pretending my feelings had magically changed overnight despite what happened. I loved the way his smiles peeked through his scowls. I loved how he kissed my shoulder every morning when I woke up. I loved his humor and intelligence, his strength and vulnerability, his thoughtfulness and ambition. But just because I loved him didn't mean I trusted him or myself.
We can make it work, that is, if you want to.
The week's emotional roller coaster had taken its toll on me, and I had no clue what I wanted. I hadn't even worked out how I felt about my father's company's troubles. Obviously, Dante had a hand in it. But how upset was I really when a tiny secret part of me blamed Lao Jules for what my family had become?
Go on a date with me.
He said when I didn't answer.
We'll do anything you want, even eat popcorn.
I didn't smile at his joke. Another flicker of nerves surfaced in his eyes. We've been on dates before.
That was before, this is now.
His face softened.
Just one date, please.
My heart wrenched, but I shook my head. I don't think that's a good idea. Frustration and a splash of panic tightened his features.
Why not?
There are 1,000 different reasons. You hate my family. You never wanted to get married, and you never wanted me. You were forced into it, and if we get together again, my father still wins. And dryness coated my throat. We're not good together, Dante. Our relationship was so hot and cold. But we made it work because we had to make it work. Now that we don't, I searched for the right way to phrase my thoughts. Things have been difficult since day one. Maybe it's a sign. The last part came out quietly, like a pin dropping into the ocean. Our relationship had been tainted from the start. Even if I loved him, I couldn't see how we could overcome the mistakes of our past. My heart twisted again, this time with pain so sharp I wasn't sure how I'd survive it. But I would. I had to.
That's 6 reasons.
Dante said.
I can work with 6. I can even work with 1,000.
My chest ached. Dante.
You don't think we're a good idea, but I'll prove we are.
Determination lined his jaw, but his voice and lips were soft as they brushed my forehead.
Give me time, Miyakata. That's all I need besides you.
Alrighty. Well, that has been today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys either on the weekend for over streams, or actually no. I believe I'll see you guys tomorrow. I believe tomorrow is the free December Patreon Day episode. So I believe tomorrow is the free Patreon Day episode. I'll see you guys then. If not, I will see you guys over the live streams over the weekends, or I will see you on Tuesday. Love you guys all, and peace.